My opponent said, holy moly, is there a list for this deck? Yeah. Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. This is MahfuzVanGogh, your dredge guy, and today I'm feeling under the weather here, but I needed to sit here and record a video about this idea that I had yesterday. This is Burning Inquiry in a Grixis list in Modern Dredge. And Burning Inquiry is probably the best enabler that we can have in any format because it draws 3 and discards 3. This is better than Faithless Looting if you have dredgers in your graveyard. If you still don't, this is just a random draw discard, a random looting spell. Sometimes it can work on your favor, sometimes it will not work on your favor. But why I'm trying this? Playing Lone Dredge for color builds or Sultai builds with Life from the Loan, I noticed that Modern is super fast right now, and sometimes being a reliable deck that can win on turn 4, sometimes on turn 5, with slower hands, is not good enough to win every time. Because now aggro decks going really deep into Modern. We have energy decks doing much success, having success, and we have lots of combo decks like Mardu and Storm decks, many builds that can win reliably on turn 3 with Urza Saga, just searching for something, and Storm decks sometimes can win even on turn 2. So I think it's time to try something extra here, and Burning Inquiry maybe is what we need. I don't know, this isn't tested. It will be my first league playing this. And what I think about this card, how I imagine that it can work here in Modern Dredge. I played with Burning Inquiry in Legacy Madness before, and in Legacy Madness sometimes players thought that Burning Inquiry wasn't the best card to play on your turn 1 because of its randomness, right? But this is secretly an amazing card to play on turn 2. Because think about that. Sometimes you have Tom Scour and with some luck you find your dredger, your first dredger, and then on your turn 2 you cast Cathartic Reunion, you discard some cards, draw 3 more cards, and then on turn 3 maybe you crack Cephalic Coliseum and you have an extra mana to do something. Or maybe you don't have Cathartic Reunion on your starting hand, but you have something that can be even better with a single red mana. So I'm envisioning some scenarios. I'm not sure if they will happen, but I can see some scenarios here like we on turn 2 casting Burning Inquiry and then taking down another creature with Darkblast, for example, or maybe casting double Tom Scour and Burning Inquiry on turn 2, or maybe a tapped land and Burning Inquiry, and then on next turn we can crack Cephalic Coliseum and cast another turn 1 enabler. I noticed playing the Loan builds and Sultai builds that sometimes we have an extra mana without using it. So having more turn 1 enablers seems like a good idea, even if we don't have Life from the Loan here. Darkblast can be really good against the creature decks, like I said, and Conflagrate is really good to push the less damage that we need. I think even without Life from the Loan, a single Conflagrate is really good because Modern has so many different creature decks doing great results. So I think a Conflagrate can be good if your opponent counters your initial spells. Conflagrate is just free discard, and the box is already good. This feels super tight. The deck building here feels super tight, so my doubts are only about the numbers of Otherworldly Gaze and Tom Scour. I thought about even cutting Otherworldly Gaze entirely from the deck, but sometimes I can see that we'll probably don't hit an Ox yet and we have 2 lands and what to do. So if we have double Ox and double Otherworldly Gaze, after some dredge action, we'll have at least 4 cards that can be cast from your graveyard with 2 mana. So this is why I'm including 2 Otherworldly Gazes and not the full play set. And Tom Scour, I think it is a good turn 1 play, maybe our best turn 1 play. So I'm doing this division here, 3 Tom Scour and 2 Otherworldly Gaze, but maybe this is wrong and I need to rebuild the deck after that. This will be my first time playing this in a Modern League. I hope you enjoy with me. And about our sideboard. This is an Esper sideboard with a Line of Sanctity plus Lightning Axe. So this is super straightforward. I'm not playing with Gemstone Caverns because since our mana is so tight here and you don't, I think we can't afford the possibility of drawing Gemstone Caverns on games 2 and 3. They will be good on our first hand or starting hand, but then we will just have colorless lands. And without playing Rainbow here, I'm not sure if Gemstone Caverns is what we want to do. And since we have so many good turn 1 enablers, so maybe it is better to just have more answers to our opponent's threats and graveyard hate. So Grief is when we want to discard something from our opponent's hand. Stun Dismissal is to bounce something. Lightning Axe is to kill something. The Line of Sanctity is to give us Hexproof. And that's it. Click the like button, subscribe, leave a comment below, and try to leave a comment before watching this leg, because I'm not sure if we will do a 0-5 or a 5-0 or a 1-4 or 4-1. I'm not sure about the result. Is this good enough? Is this just too crazy to include Burning Inquiry in a modern dredge? I'm not sure. I just like to try new things, and I hope you enjoyed this with me. So let's do it right now. Renting cards is the best way to play online, and you can start your journey, like me, on Mana Traders. Just use this coupon code that you can see here on this page to have an exclusive discount on your first 2 months. Now let's go back to the games. Okay, this is round 1. We are already mulliganing. No lands. This has lands. We have a Cathartic Reunion and a removal spell. It is not our best hand, but I think I'll keep on the draw. Let's put Narcomoeba back and see what our opponent will do. They kept 7. Okay, they start with a Surveil land. Blue-black. Now it's our turn. We draw another land. Another land is good. Play Polluted Delta with Darkblast open, but also the option to just go fetch a Thundering Falls. I would prefer to have a black mana here instead of our other blue-red. But well, this seems like a possible Orcish Bowmasters. Let's fetch here and go to a Watery Grave, I guess. I don't want to pay life. And now it's our turn. We draw another land. That's fantastic. Okay, since I'm smelling Orcish Bowmasters here, and I don't want to play Cathartic Reunion with a single Dredger into an Orcish Bowmasters, I will just play Polluted Delta and pass a turn. And now we can grab Thundering Falls. And we still have Darkblast. If my voice is deeper than usual, it's because of the flu. Okay, my opponent will have some action. They crack Polluted Delta for a Hallowed Fountain. Is this Esper Control? Okay, it's not Orcish Bowmasters, it's a draw spell. So this is Reanimator. Yeah, they discarded Atraxa. And now they play another Surveil land. And we'll pass the turn. Okay, no actions yet. No Goryos. So let's crack Polluted Delta into a Thundering Falls. Narcomoeba will be put into our graveyard. My opponent milled a Prismatic Ending there. So now it's our turn. I can cast Darkblast into our own Narcomoeba to start dredging. And I think I'll do it. So let's kill our Narcomoeba. My opponent is seeing this crazy thing there. Is that crazy? I don't think so. Let's take our Darkblast. Okay, this is great. And now I'll place Invents untapped. And now I'm feeling safe because I'll have at least 2 Dredgers. So let's cast Cathartic Reunion. I'll discard you and you. And we'll dredge 5, and 5 again, and 5 again. 15 cards. 3 Creeping Chills. Unfortunately, no other Narco, but our goals will do the job to reanimate this other Pressed Amalgam. And let's see if my opponent can win the game here because they have an Atraxa. Maybe they can reanimate Atraxa. Okay, they have another Looting spell. They discarded a Watery Grave. We have lethal next turn. My opponent needs a blocker or to do their own thing. Another Tainted Indulgence. Okay, discarding Polluted Delta. Cracking Flooded Strand. 7 life. Basic Island. An Archaeologist. Okay, they took Ephemerate. I think my opponent is facing lethal here. So let's dredge 4. And now I can just cast a big Conflagrate, right? So I don't even need to go after my opponent's creature. I can just go face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 5. Yeah. Let's pay here, the mana cost. I'll discard 5 cards. 5 damage in your face. I can place Invents untapped since we have Otherworldly Gaze there. And let's just attack here. I don't think my opponent can do much. Oh, they have a Solitude. Let's see who they will target with the Solitude. Okay, Press Amalgam. That's fine. So now they need to block with Archaeologist. And now I have some options here. I can try to win the game sacrificing Ghoul, trying to hit another Creeping Chill, or I can cast Otherworldly Gaze, trying to do something important for next turn. I think I'll sacrifice Ghoul here. Dredge 5. Okay, we have Ox of Agonas, and we have the win next turn unless my opponent can win by their own. This Ghoul will, all of the Ghouls will come back because we gain 3 life thanks to Solitude, and now we pass the turn. Okay, my opponent has Psychic Frog as a blocker, and that's it. No reanimation spells. Press Amalgam will come back. We have Ox. We'll definitely find our last Creeping Chill this turn. Let's dredge 5. Okay, let's attack first. With everyone. My opponent has another Solitude. This time they will have Ephemerate. So they exile our Prize Amalgam. And they blink their own Solitude. So they can gain some life. We have some options here. I don't want to let my opponent gain some life. And I think they will probably block Solitude. Use Solitude to block one of our goals. So I will let this resolve. Solitude now stays in the battlefield. Yeah. And then I will sacrifice this goal that is being blocked by Solitude. So my opponent will not gain life. And I will dredge 5. We found another Narcomoeba. It's in play. My opponent needs to deal with... oh, no. Psychic Frog just dies. And now we will cast Ox. And just to be sure here, yeah, we still have 1 Creeping Chill, so I can mill my entire deck to find it. Let's cast Ox of Agonas. Exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Ox enters the battlefield. My opponent has only 1 card in their hand, so I think they don't have white mana available. We will dredge 4, and 4, and 4 again. 0 cards in our deck. Creeping Chill was our last card. Let's see if we win now. Yeah, we won with 0 cards in our deck. And this was our first game this afternoon. Now let's go to the sideboard. My opponent will probably try to do their own thing and will not pay that much attention to our graveyard. So, and we will do the same. So Griff is probably good. They have Griff plus Ephemerate, but I don't think this is enough to include Leyline of Sanctity. And Lightning Axe is not that great here. I think we just need to be fast. Burning Inquiry can backfire here because our opponent can discard the cards that they want to discard, but sometimes it will be awesome. It has that random effect. So Conflagrate was good last game. Let's take 1 goal, 1 Darkblast, 1 Time Scour, and another card, maybe 1 Ox. Let's try like that. We are on the draw this time, and his hand is super scary because we have a Burning Inquiry, and maybe we can help our opponent to do their own thing. But we have 2 lands and even something that we can cast on turn 1 according to what our opponent will do. My opponent is already having their first mulligan. I will keep this on the draw because of Grief. I don't want to do a deep mulligan here. And we have something good to do on turn 1. My opponent kept 6. And maybe my opponent thinks that we have something against their graveyard, which we don't. When I was building this sideboard for today's league, I thought for a moment about including Leyline of the Voids or something. But I'm not seeing that many graveyard decks lately, at least not in Magic Online, playing Modern. So I decided to have other cards instead. Let's see if we can win against the graveyard deck. My opponent just passes the turn after playing Marsh Flats. Now it's our turn. And I think we could just discard Golgari Thug here, but I think we will play Scouting Turn and pass with the intention of cracking it for Thundering Falls, or maybe casting Darkblast if my opponent plays an Archaeologist or even other creature. Okay, they have a Survey Land of their own. They don't want Tainted Indulgence. They play Fountain, and now they cast their Looting spell. Okay, no creatures yet. They just draw 2, discard 1. So let's crack this and see what's on top of our deck. Okay, a Dredger. Perfect. That's perfect deck building. We'll dredge. Okay, no other dredgers there. But we have Otherworldly Gaze. So I'll play Scouting Turn. And I think I will immediately cast this Otherworldly Gaze here, in case we have the goodies. So Blood Crypt, untapped, ouch, and Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, we love you and you. I would like to keep Cephalic Coliseum, please. And Narcomoeba enters the battlefield. Yeah. And we pass the turn. Now is my opponent's turn. Okay, they have an Archaeologist. It is a target for Darkblast if we need to. They will take probably Spellbomb or Goryos. Even Thoughtseize is a consideration. 3 good targets to our opponent. They took Spellbomb. Okay, so we will try to be defensive here. Alright. They don't have a target to reanimate there, and we have flyers. So I think I will just play the Cephalic Coliseum here. Even Prize Amalgam is good here because my opponent can only chump block. I don't think I will do anything here while my opponent has this Spellbomb. I can cast creatures from my hand and attack. Let's attack with Narcomoeba first. Yes. And I think I will play Flyer instead of Amalgam here. It is tempting to do other thing, trying to push some damage. Maybe it's the best choice. I'm not sure. My opponent can exile my creatures, so I don't want to. But maybe this will force them to have some action. Let's cast Prism Amalgam here, and then next turn I can dredge 5 and cast a Stink with the Imp. Let's see if they can be faster than our zombies being cast from hand. My opponent plays a land. Oh, they will Ephemerate Archaeologist, trying to hit something else. Psychic Frog is a good, but they chose Thoughtseize instead. I understand, my friend. As a graveyard fella, I understand what it is to live in fear. Okay, they take Burning Inquiry, but they took 2 damage to do so. And now we will attack dealing 4 damage, maybe. We will dredge 5 here. Okay, Creeping Chill. Is this enough to push this Spellbomb? We have nothing else besides this Creeping Chill. No, my opponent decides that it isn't enough. So let's attack first. Maybe they have a Solitude and a 5th land. Okay, they will block with Archaeologist. They have another... No, just as a chump blocker, as I was imagining. And now my opponents don't have a good card to reanimate. They have 2 cards in their hand. I think I'll cast Ghoul here as a lethal threat and see if my opponent will crack this. I imagine they will. They will surveil first. Yeah, if they have a Goryos in their hand and then... Okay, they surveilled a Goryo's Vengeance to their graveyard. They have this Ephemerate, Sad Ephemerate, unless they have Solitude. No. My opponent is facing lethal. They need to cast a creature here. It is probably Solitude. Yeah. So they have Solitude. They will exile our Prize Amalgam. And they pass the turn. Now what? My opponent didn't crack Spellbomb yet. I have some options here. We can cast Darkblast just to have a Dredge or force my opponent to do this. But I think I would prefer to have a natural draw here. Okay, Cathartic Reunion is interesting. I would like to have a 4th land here to cast Darkblast twice and get rid of this Solitude. Let's attack. Let's see if my opponent will block. I can see they blocking here. Yeah, they will block. Going up to 7. I will cast Cathartic Reunion here, leaving Cephalic Elysium untapped, I guess. We could leave Blood Crypt untapped to target one of my opponent's creatures with Darkblast next turn. Yeah, maybe this is better. So let's play Cathartic Reunion here. I will discard you and you. And let's see if my opponent will crack this Spellbomb. I want to do this now to force my opponent's Spellbomb and to force them to activate Spellbomb without drawing an extra card. So let's dredge. Let's dredge. Okay, Creeping Chill. Maybe this is enough to push my opponent's Spellbomb because we already have a Ghoul there. I'll just draw a card. Nakomiba, okay. And I bet they will crack this Spellbomb now. Yeah, without gaining additional value. And we have this Darkblast here to be cast. We can even target our own Narcomoeba next turn. And we will pass the turn. I was hoping to draw a land. This would be a lucky moment to draw an extra land. Okay, my opponent will cast Thoughtseize. They will probably take Narcomoeba, so that's fine. Any other card is good to be discarded. Yeah, they are going down to 5 and pass the turn. And they concede. Alright, we won our first match against Goryo's Vengeance. Just establishing dominance as the best graveyard deck. Okay, let's go to our second match. If you're enjoying my content and want to support me as a content creator, the best way of doing it is on Patreon. Being there, you can read my weekly articles and also my sideboard guides to play this and other dredge decks in other formats. I want to say thank you to all my patrons that you can see here on this page. Now, back to the games. Round 2, we are on the play. Oh, unfortunately we have our wrong land in our starting hand, so let's mulligan. Okay, this is interesting. If my opponent is playing a creature deck, this hand can be really good. So I think I will try it. And if they don't, I will just grab a Surveil land here. And that's it. So let's bet. I will start playing Polluted Delta and passing the turn. Let's see if my opponent has a creature to be targeted. Or if we are going to Surveil. They start with Sacred Foundry, so maybe Energy. Ragavan. Okay, that's exactly what we wanted to see. Since we have double Cephalic Elysium here, I need to take Watery Grave, and we will not have red mana this game, but with double Cephalic Elysium, this is probably good. This is one of those games that even if you have many red cards, we will not cast them, probably. So yes, I would like to pay 2 life, and let's get rid of this Ragavan here. Of course, we cannot Cephalic Elysium immediately here, so maybe we need to draw something at some point. Let's take Darkblast. Yeah, we will need to draw something, unless my opponent plays a second creature, which is definitely possible. Let's pass a turn here. My opponent plays either Hub and plays a Ajani. They probably thought about casting another creature instead of Ajani. I saw they tapping for red mana, but since we cannot kill Ajani, this was their choice. Now it's interesting. Do I kill the Cat Warrior token? If I kill it, Ajani will flip, but my opponent cannot have immediate value from it. So maybe this is good. But I'm not sure if I want my opponent to have Ajani immediately here, because they can cast another cat and put counters on top of that cat. Some cats have lifelink. So I think I will let this go, maybe. Yeah, I think I'll just target Ajani with my Darkblast here. And this is counterintuitive, but I think this is better. And if we find a single Narcomoeba here, we will have double price amalgam coming back. No Narcomoebas, but we have our Inquid Imp. And to stay with the Darkblast active in my hand, I would just crack Cephalic Elysium, paying the mana with the other Cephalic Elysium. So we'll dredge 5, we dredge 5 again. Come on, Creeping Chills, we dredge 4. Okay, we found the Creeping Chill. We will discard you, and you. Creeping Chill will get back 2 ghouls and 2 prize amalgams, and we have Conflagrate. Unfortunately, we cannot cast it. And if we decide that it is good to target this Darkblast on my opponent's end step to kill something, even if Ajani flips, that's fine. It will be one less creature to block on our own turn. My opponent cracks Eridmisa for basic planes. Blood Moon. Okay, so my opponent is going to... This is a main deck Blood Moon. Alright. This is my last chance to target a Cat Warrior with my Darkblast. But I definitely think that my opponent will just leave it to block. If I kill it, Ajani can only create another cat and then deals 1 damage to a target, probably a ghoul. How many Creeping Chills we still have? 3. This is tricky. I don't want to have a ghoul killed by Ajani this turn. So I think I'll just put this Darkblast back into my graveyard as my 3rd Dredger. I will not kill the Cat Warrior. In case my opponent decides to attack with Ajani, it is 1 less damage that they will do to us. But I think they will stay back on defense, because we have 12 power here. So let's dredge 5. Narcomoeba is okay, not now, but it is an okay draw. And I think we need to try to push damage here before my opponent drops more creatures. My opponent will probably block one of my goals with a Cat Warrior here, and will deal 9 damage. And from there, it's difficult. Blood Moon was a really good play for my opponent here. So, of course, now that we have double mountains, we can cast Conflagrate, or even Ox. So maybe we have the win anyways, and my opponent didn't see it. Yeah? So now what? This Conflagrate can deal just 3 damage. So I think our best choice here is to cast Ox, and maybe finding the other Creeping Chills. So we'll exile you, 8 cards. My opponent's Blood Moon was actually good for us, because we have red cards in our deck. Okay, Creeping Chill number 1. Dredge again. And let's dredge 5 again. Okay, double Creeping Chill, and the win is ours. The victory is ours. Yeah, nice Blood Moon opponent. But I can understand my opponent's thoughts here. They saw double Cephalic Elysium, and they decided, well, let's go after that. But then we have a great plan B, even better than plan A sometimes. Now it's our sideboard. Lightning Axe is important because my opponent has many creatures that can win the game on their own. It doesn't need to be a graveyard hate creatures. Just good lifelinkers on the first 2 turns can win the game for my opponent. So let's include some Lightning Axes. Bounce spells, not sure. Grief could be good. I think it will be already a hard match on the draw, but I don't want to dilute too much of our own game plan. So let's just include 3 Lightning Axes instead of 1 Thumbscour. Maybe 2, because those will be maybe 3 instead of 3 Thumbscour, 3 Lightning Axe. Those are already enablers that can kill creatures. So our deck is just better with Lightning Axe instead of Thumbscour. And we still have 12 and 1 enablers if we take Darkblast as an enabler. My opponent will have something around 10 creatures, maybe 12 creatures with 1 toughness. So unless they change those creatures for others while sideboarding, we have some good targets for our Darkblast. Okay, this is a mulligan. Not the right cards to start this game. Okay, this is slow. My opponent kept 7. If we put one of our Creeping Chills back, this is a slow start. We don't have any removal spells. I'm inclined to keep it, but it is not that great, right? We have a turn 2 and turn 3 good plays. I think I will keep it, but we have 2 dead draws, 2 dead cards in our hand already. I see this as a great mulligan to 4, and what can we do here? Can I mulligan this to 5 to a mediocre 5 maybe? Or can I keep this as a great mulligan to 4? I think I'll keep it. And let's put 1 Creeping Chill back. But this is not good. We're not favored to win this game with this hand, since my opponent kept 7. They play Marsh Flats and crack it. For basic planes, Guide of Souls, yeah. And because cards of this, I always want removal spells. Invents is not a removal spell, but it is a good card for the future. So let's play Scalding Tarn here and pass a turn. Let's see what my opponent will do. Play Arid Missa, cracks it before attacking. So maybe the Raptor, Sacred Foundry. No, double white. Rest in Peace, really? I wasn't expecting that. Okay. I think this is my first time seeing Rest in Peace in Modern since I started to play this format a month ago. Can we win here? We can cast some spells from our hand. Okay, Rest in Peace, got it. Let's take... We need black mana here, so no Thundering Falls. Let's take Blood Crypt, tapped. We can probably stay... My opponent didn't attack, I'm not sure why. So now it's our turn. Okay, another land is actually not bad. We can cast Narcomoeba and then Sync with Imp and then Creeping Chill. This is a limited Dredge edition. So let's crack Polluted Delta here and take... okay, double red is guaranteed. Double black maybe is useful at some point. So let's take Watergrave. Yeah. And I will play Narcomoeba. What can you do against my 1/1 flying illusion? Your creature stinks. It didn't fly. So it don't fly. It doesn't fly. So it can't attack. Oh, you have a first strike lifelink cat. I have a 1/2 Death Touch. Oh, you have a Jenny, one of the best planeswalkers from those days. So what can you do against my... I think I will just concede. Alright, we don't stand a chance here. This was a great 7, definitely. My opponent connected one of their best turn 1 plays with their best turn 2 plays with a good sequence on turn 3. And that's it. So knowing that my opponent has Rest in Peace, I don't want bounce spells here because when Rest in Peace gets in, the damage is already done. So I think Grief is better than that. And to include Grief, we will take 1 Ghoul, 1 Darkblast, maybe not Darkblast, 1 Thug here, 1 Ox, and 1 Otherworldly Gaze. Let's try like that. And my opponent will probably not have that many Rest in Peace, maybe 2. So if we have a great starting hand, I will not mulligan until we find a Grief. This is not a great starting hand, so we can mulligan. Okay, again, we have... This is just too similar to our starting hand on game 1. Is my opponent having mulligans too? This is too similar. If my opponent starts the game with a creature, this hand is great. And if they don't have Rest in Peace, of course. Now what? I'll do a bet here, I'll keep it. Let's put Narcomoeba back. If my opponent finds a Rest in Peace, they find Rest in Peace, and that's fine. The way I'm seeing Modern, at least on Magic Online, is that players will not always mulligan until they find Graveyard Hate. This is not Legacy. Of course, my opponent can have a Rest in Peace in their starting hand, but I'll not have a harsh mulligan trying to find a Grief and then lose the game to 1/1s and 1/2s. Let's see what my opponent will do here. Okay, they play Guide of Souls. So this is a target for our Darkblast. It will not die, but I think we need to target it now. So let's target Guide of Souls, and now we'll Dredge. Okay, 1 Narcomoeba. Burning Inquiry would be sweet here. Now what? I think I will not play Cephalic Coliseum here. I will just play Steam Vents tapped with the intention of repeat that. And if my opponent attacks, I will definitely have a great target. But I don't think they will attack with Guide of Souls. Okay, no immediate Rest in Peace, just a creature. And no other land. Okay, my opponent will attack. This is not a good attack, right? We can block and target my opponent's creature with Darkblast. I think they didn't see it. Okay, yeah. We kill your creature, we will kill your second creature as well. Maybe my opponent has Rest in Peace and they kept this risky hand without mana. Now what? We will Dredge, we play Cephalic Coliseum, we cast Darkblast, and we crack Cephalic Coliseum. Draw 3, discard 3, we start with Dredge. Let's see if we can chain Dredgers, not. But we have Cathartic Reunion and another Cephalic Coliseum. And this Grief would be good here. So let's discard you. I'm not sure if I want to discard Darkblast, but I think we need it, right? I prefer to keep it in my hand for next turn, but it is what it is. Let's hope for no second land from our opponent, because I think they kept this because they have Rest in Peace. Okay, my opponent just conceded. Okay, they couldn't find what they need, and they conceded the game. We won. Yeah. Take that, tier 1 decks. Now let's go to our match number 3. Round 3, we are on the play. This hand is a mulligan, for sure. Wow! 4 Creeping Chills in our starting hand, and no lands. This is a first time. No, it's a mulligan. No, please. No lands again. No, we have a land. Can we keep this? Putting 2 Narcomoebas back, hoping for another land. We have a Darkblast. I don't think this is the way we want to play. I think I will go to 4. Okay, this is our best 4, no doubt. The best hand so far. Not a good hand because it is a 4 card hand, but it is our best hand. Now, do I keep Darkblast? I think I will keep Darkblast here, in case my opponent reveals to be a creature deck. We have something to do on turn 1. This can backfire because we have a Burning Inquiry, but it is always better to cast Burning Inquiry if we already have a Dredger in our graveyard. Okay, no Dredgers. Immediately, we will search for Thundering Falls here. My opponent is a blue-black deck. Force of Negation there, alright. So it is a control matchup. Let's crack Scalding Tarn and take Thundering Falls. Tapped. Okay, Dredger. Alright. As I said before, perfect deck building. Your Surveil land, finding a Dredger every time. So we'll Dredge. We have Dredgers, we have Narcomoeba here. Narcomoeba enters the battlefield. Not our best Narcomoeba, but that's fine. Let's place a Phallic Coliseum and hope for no other Force of Negation from my opponent. Burning Inquiry. Yeah, we'll Dredge 4. And draw 2 cards, 1 Creeping Chill, 1 Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, so my opponent discarded Solitude, Archaeologist. So this is another Goryo's deck. Okay, I think I will cast this Otherworldly Gaze now. Let's see what we have on top of our deck. Prized Amalgam is good. Another Burning Inquiry for next turn is interesting. But Burning Inquiry can backfire in these matchups, right? Because my opponent can discard what they want to discard. So go and Prized Amalgam will come back this turn. And I'm not sure if I keep a Burning Inquiry now, especially because my opponent can have a counterspell. So I think I would just put everything into my graveyard and ignore red for the rest of the game. Yes, Creeping Chill is good. I would like to drain 3. And now we have some creatures. What can you do, opponent? Hopefully not that scary. Nothing that scary. They play Marsh Flats. Crack it. Maybe for a basic. Yeah, basic plains. My opponent sees the danger. Okay, Emperor of Bones is a graveyard hate card in the main deck. My opponent can exile cards from my graveyard, so I don't have Prized Amalgam now. And we will Dredge 4. We don't have ways to get this Ox. We will attack first. Let's attack. And I will probably pass the turn here with the intention of casting Otherworldly Gaze on my opponent's end step or second main step. Because if I do now, my opponent can just exile my Dredger that I can find with Otherworldly Gaze. So I will pass the turn here. My opponent draws. Maybe this is not Reanimator, maybe this is just as per control deck. But it seems like a Goryo's Vengeance deck. Okay, my opponent will exile 1 card from my graveyard. They can take Darkblast if they want to. If they do, I can crack Cephalic Coliseum in response. No, they are going to Conflagrate. That's not a good choice. I will not cast Conflagrate this game, probably. Unless I can find a red mana now. Okay, my opponent will not attack. So I will cast Otherworldly Gaze from my graveyard. Unfortunately, Modern has no Poxwalkers. Okay, Narcomoeba will enter the battlefield. I will keep a Blood Crypt on top. And now my opponent is almost facing lethal. They probably needed that Archaeologist, and Burning Inquiry did some work there. So let's draw instead of Dredge. And I will attack first. Let's attack, threatening 8 points of damage here. Okay, my opponent has Solitude, as expected. They always have. Do they also have Ephemerate? Okay, they will exile 1 of my ghouls. They do have Ephemerate, okay. And now they decided to exile Narcomoeba because they will block 1 ghoul probably. With Solitude, so now they are back to 11 life. That's fine. Now we have double red, and I will cast Ox of Agonas. 2 red mana, and exiling 8 cards, lands and spells from my graveyard. Ox enters the battlefield, and we will Dredge 5, and 5 again. Narcomoeba is good. We have 1 Prized Amalgam, and I will Dredge 4. Okay, both Prized Amalgams will come back this turn. This is important. And I think both ghouls also will come back because of Solitude, right? So all of my creatures will enter the battlefield immediately. And now we'll pass a turn with a good board presence. And my opponent concedes. Okay, we did a good job on our first game. Let's continue that on our second game. Okay, I feel that we only want some grief to make some company to our other cards. Let's take 1 Scour, 1 Go, 1 Darkblast, probably 2 Scour, and that's it. Okay, this is a mulligan. We have lands, but no good spells. Okay, and my opponent kept 7 cards. This is not a good keep because we don't have dredgers. We can try to hit some dredgers with our first land, but this is so slow. Cathartic Reunion can be used, just a way to draw 3 cards and try to do better on turn 3, but this is so slow. My opponent kept 7 cards. I think I'll still keep this on the draw. And my thought here is that it is always hard to win games of Magic in Modern after sideboarding on the draw. In my previous experience here on this channel and in other leagues that I played, it is every time I win game 1, game 2 is really hard. And my opponent kept 7 cards. So I will not do a deep mulligan here. My opponent also can have Grief and cards that can disrupt my starting hand. So I think I'll keep this and I'll just shuffle back 1 go. And that's it. Let's see how my opponent can damage me now. Oh no, just a Surveil land. Okay. Oh, they already have an Atraxa there. So not only us have luck with Surveil lands. Otherworldly Gaze is a great draw. It's so great that I will not start the game with a Surveil land here. I would just start casting Otherworldly Gaze. So let's pass a turn because we saw that my opponent can have Force of Negation. So I'll pass a turn and now I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze. Let's take Steam Vents here, untapped. Maybe I even wait until my opponent's second main phase because they can have Emperor of the Bones, right? That creature that can exile cards from my graveyard. Yeah, now I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze. My opponent didn't move a thing. Oh, Burning Inquiry is super interesting, but with Tom Scour, both cards are really good. If I cast Cathartic Reunion as a way to draw cards, and draw Burning Inquiry, Tom Scour next turn, and then try to do a great thing on turn 3. Okay, so let's discard Ox, and I'll keep you and you on top. And I'll draw Burning Inquiry, and now I'll play Blood Crypt, untapped, and I will pass the turn. My intention here is just casting Otherworldly Gaze again. I know that I have a Tom Scour on top, but I just want to wait a little bit more. My opponent kept 7 cards on the play. Okay, will they play something like Orcish Bowmasters? No, just Faithful Mending. They don't have Goryo's Vengeance yet. They can have Goryo's after that Mending. They discarded Double Grief. So my opponent will probably not grief me unless they have a third one. They play Surveil land, Thoughtseize to the bin, and pass. Okay, this was maybe my opponent has Double Solitude and Ephemerate. Maybe that's it. So Grief is actually really good here. I'd like to have both Grief and Tom Scour. I don't think we can have both. So we don't need Water Grave. My opponent is so slow here that maybe they obviously are holding something, right? So let's keep Tom Scour on top and Grief on top. And I'll cast Grief next turn. If my opponent doesn't want to cast Grief targeting me, I do want to do that targeting them. So let's cast Grief, exiling Prize Amalgam. Maybe I should play Cephalic Coliseum instead of Polluted Delta here. Not sure. It depends about what my opponent is holding in their hand. Okay, they would do something. Goryo's, okay, they have a Goryo's Vengeance. They will do this just to draw some cards with Atraxa. I don't even need to look their hand here immediately. Let's use Grief to take some of those cards. My opponent had Goryo's Vengeance and didn't use it. So maybe they were fearing that we have counterspells, but we don't, my friend. We are not playing counterspells here. Not today. Okay, so they have removal spells, counterspells, Archaeologist, Atraxa, and some ways to put Atraxa in the bin. I think I'll take Tainted Indulgence. This Atraxa will just be exiled at their next end step. And I think that's it. I'll just pass a turn here. Yeah, this is a control matchup. A control reanimator matchup. Atraxa will get exiled. My opponent has a Force of Negation in their hand. And that's the reason why I didn't play a single thing. Okay, my opponent plays Flooded Strand and pass a turn. And I will draw my Enabler. And now I'll crack Polluted Delta here. Do I take Thundering Falls? Because I have 4 cards. I feel like I will probably not cast Cathartic Reunion this turn. So let's... But at the same time, Thundering Falls is not that good here because it is good if I find exactly a Dredger. The odds are not in my favor. I have so many other cards in my deck. But it can happen, right? And we have an Ox there. So maybe an untapped land, Tom Scour, my opponent counters it. Burning Inquiry, my opponent cannot counter it. And then Ox. Yeah, so I'll take Steam Vents untapped. Yep. And I'll play Cephalic Coliseum. And I'll cast Tom Scour, targeting me. My opponent is thinking about countering that. And Force of Negation exiles, so this will not be put into my graveyard. Oh, I should tap Cephalic Coliseum instead of my Steam Vents. Now I see that. Oh, my opponent opted to exile their Archaeologist. to cast this Force of Negation. Why did they didn't pay for mana? Do they have another Tainted Indulgence? Maybe they do. So you know what? Let's cast Burning Inquiry. Let's spin the wheel with Blood Crypt. They discarded Atraxa, Ephemerate, and Grief. So they still have double Prismatic Ending, Solitude, and 2 other cards. And now we have a Dredger there. So we can crack Cephalic Elysium here, to draw 3, and discard 3. We'll dredge 4, and that's it. We can discard you, and you, who have another Cephalic Elysium and Ox next turn. But my opponent can reanimate Atraxa. They also have Solitude. Luckily, they don't have a second Ephemerate. Okay, they will just Surveil here. I'm not sure why my opponent did that. They must have something else. Oh, sure, they want to flashback Faithful Maiden. I wasn't watching that. Okay, so now it's my opponent's turn. They discarded one of their Prismatic Endings. So this is what we know, plus other 4 cards. And they now have a Griselbrand in their graveyard. And they can reanimate Griselbrand. They will draw 7, trying to hit another Goryos. Couldn't. Attack me, dealing 7 damage. That's Ephemerate. That's fine. And a Spell Bomb. And we will not win this, guys. So let's consider. After the control-ish start, my opponent's card quality did beat me there. We had a bad mulligan. But this was a fight. I enjoyed this game a lot. Always interesting. So now what? On the play, I think we want more turn 1 plays with Thumbscour, but I'm not sure about what to take. I don't want to take Cathartic Reunion. Maybe I take Aox? It feels weird. I don't want to take too many threats because my opponent can just reanimate, blink, Ephemerate, and take many of my threats from the game. So this is not good. Maybe being on the play, we don't even want Grief, but my opponent has Spell Bomb. And this is... Okay, let's do no other changes. Let's submit the same deck that we did submit on game 2. We are on the play. Yes, I would like to play first. This is almost good. We have Grief, but no other cards to... Okay, this is better. We have Grief. I can exile Creeping Chill. Then I can go after Thundering Falls. And on the second turn, I have Cathartic Reunion, discarding this. So Steam Vents is the card that I will put back on bottom. My opponent gets 7 again. I will play Scalding Tarn, and I will cast Grief. My opponent cannot counter it with Force of Negation. Oh, they have Subtlety. They don't want me to see their hand. Now what? I can put this on top or bottom of my library. What do I want? Before deciding that, I will crack Scalding Tarn for Thundering Falls. Let's see what we have on top. Another land. In this case, I think I want Grief on top. So we can just repeat next turn. Okay, my opponent has their own Grief. Maybe they want to take a Darkblast here. No, just Cathartic Reunion, okay. And place Polluted Delta. And because of that, we will not cast Grief right now. I will play Blood Crypt. I will play Blood Crypt untapped. And I will pass a turn. And this is because I want to cast Darkblast in case my opponent has an Archaeologist or something. Okay, Surveil land. And I will not cast Grief because I don't think my opponent will have much. Okay, they will decide to mill Archaeologist. They play Polluted Delta and pass. Now it's my turn. Cephalic Elysium is a good draw. If we draw another black land, black mana, we can even cast Grief from our hand. I'll not cast Grief immediately here. Let's see what my opponent can do. They go for a Hallowed Fountain, untapped. Is this Mending? No, Indulgence. Okay, they just discarded another land. And now it's our turn to draw something good. Amalgam. My opponent is stuck on 2 lands. So I think I will cast Amalgam here. And let's start the beating. And I will not cast Grief. Let's see what my opponent can do. Okay, a Surveil land. Okay, they lacked what they saw. And it's our turn. Thumbscour is great. So let's attack first. And hopefully we will find a Dredger with that Thumbscour. So I can safely cast this Grief. Maybe I'll do this now, in case my opponent has some instant answer to my graveyard. Yeah, let's do it first. And trust the deck. Let's see what they have. And they may have a Force of Negation or something. Okay, they have Goryos. And they liked what they saw on top. So maybe it's a way to discard Griselbrand. So we need to take Goryos here. And now we'll cast Thumbscour. Oh, we cannot. After that, I will not have enough mana to crack Elysium. But maybe you can find Otherworldly Gaze. Okay. Next turn we'll have enough mana to do everything we want. So let's pass. Yeah, sometimes our mana base will not be perfect. Okay, my opponent found an Archaeologist. Let's see what they mill. Solitude, Grief, and Force of Despair. They will probably want Force of Despair here, yes. And we'll pass the turn. To cast Force of Despair this turn, they will need to exile Griselbrand. So let's dredge. Creeping Chill is good. We already have a ghoul there. Yes. And now let's attack. My opponent cannot cast Solitude and Ephemerate Solitude this turn, so they need to do some choices. I bet they will block and maybe cast Ephemerate on Archaeologist here. Yep. What they will grab? Spellbomb, Force of Negation, or Polluted Delta. Spellbomb. So my opponent has Spellbomb and Force of Despair, and I don't have much choice unless going for it, forcing my opponent to exile their Griselbrand. So let's go for it. I will dredge 4 and 3 and 4. Found another Creeping Chill. We can discard our best dredgers. Darkblast can be casted from our hand to rebuild our graveyard after that. Unfortunately, my opponent can just cast Force of Despair now. That's actually not the worst if my opponent didn't... Yeah, they exile Griselbrand. If my opponent didn't draw... because their own creature is getting destroyed, so this Ephemerate will not do a thing. My opponent will play Spellbomb, probably immediately cracking it, yeah. But my opponent is ahead now, because they have Solitude, Ephemerate, another card. Okay, I will dredge here, but I need to... Maybe I can wait. Maybe I can have a natural draw here. What do we still have in our graveyard? Let's see. We have 1 Creeping Chill, 2 Amalgams, and 1 Ghoul, and 2 Narcomoebas. Yeah, so I think I will not dredge now. Let's draw. And I will attack here, and still have Ox, right? Yeah. So let's attack. I want to deal 3 damage to my opponent. Now they are down to 4. And I'll play this Steam Vent Stepped and pass a turn. My opponent's turn. And then I can cast this Darkblast on the end of my opponent's turn if they didn't do something relevant. Okay, Emperor of Bones. I have no cards there to... Oh, we can kill that. Oh no, we have a single swamp. We cannot kill that. We need... Okay, they will exile their Solitude, so they can do a Goryo's Vengeance impression with it. Okay, so let's just cast Darkblast here, and now we will dredge 3. Creeping Chill. So my opponent is blocking necessarily here. And we even have an Ox for the future. So my opponent needs to block, and they cannot fetch anymore. Oh, they will cast Solitude, exiling Atraxa, and now they will Ephemerate. Okay, that's a good way to get rid of my creature. That's fine. Let's hold Ephemerate for... Oh, they didn't cast Ephemerate. Why not? Okay, so now my opponent can even take Ox or... Did I miss something? My opponent don't have Ephemerate anymore? Okay, they will choose Ox. We would like to dredge at least one thing here. My opponent cannot crack their fetch land, not yet. Okay, they will cast Force of Negation. That's good. Yeah, for a moment I thought that my opponent still had an Ephemerate. Okay, well, this is amazing. Let's cast it now. Alright. My opponent will definitely exile my Prized Amalgam if I just put this into my graveyard. I don't think I want Cathartic Reunion there. If my opponent adapt here, they can cast an instant speed Solitude. So let's put Cathartic Reunion and Cathartic Reunion in my graveyard, and let's keep Prized Amalgam. And then I'll repeat on my opponent's turn. This is a wild game of Magic. My opponent has a single card in their hand. They will go my Otherworldly Gaze. Of course, I will cast it. Okay, Burning Inquiry is interesting. Do I keep Prized Amalgam? I don't think so. Let's put you, and I'm not sure even if I keep Burning Inquiry here. Let's keep it, because maybe it can find Ox, and we can cast Ox from our graveyard. We have 2, right? Conflagrate. We only need to deal a single point of damage. We'll draw Burning Inquiry. I will cast it immediately. See what my opponent will discard. Okay. And we have double dredgers there. Unfortunately, we also discarded an Narcomoeba. Can we still win this game? Maybe we can't. My opponent will have more life now with Faithful Mending. But this is an amazing game of Magic. Going down to 2, surveilling, Atraxa to the bin. And let's see if my opponent can win the game. Indulgence is a good start. They draw 2. They don't need to discard anymore because they have a great graveyard. They place another land and goes to the combat phase. They should exile Prized Amalgam here, or maybe Stinkwood Imp. This card is really good at this stage of the game. It can control the game because they have a removal spell or a draw spell at any point, and they can also deal with my graveyard. Okay, they will exile Atraxa, so now they can put Atraxa into play, gaining 7 more life. Yeah, and from here is probably over, but we did put a good fight here. My opponent now has a 7/7 haste with lifelink that will draw cards, including another Spellbomb. He chooses Goryo's Vengeance, Griselbrand Island, and Spellbomb. Yeah, and now we cannot win anymore, guys. Almost there. For a single life, we were almost there. I'll still draw a card here to see what we have on top. An Ox. But my opponent can just exile and... yeah, unfortunately. Whew. It was a great game. but at the end we lost. Round 4, we're playing against Gigantha. And double Creeping Chill. Let's mulligan this. Okay, this is better. So much better. Let's keep it. And put Narcomoeba down. I would like to have untapped red mana here. Okay, is this energy? Elegant Parlor. They don't want lands. They have lands. So now we draw. Another Tom Scour. Let's play it. Next time we can play it again. Okay, we found not dredgers, just threats. Now it's my opponent's turn. They play either Hub, Guide of Souls, and Pride. Okay, they will gain life and make a token. Now it's our time to draw. Another reunion, not exactly what we would like to see here. I'll play Falls. Maybe I should cast Tom Scour first. Yeah, I'd like to have this land here. I should do this in the opposite order. But now I'll just put this into my graveyard. Let's cast Tom Scour here. And let's focus here. I'm sick, but not that much sick. Okay, Narcomoeba, 2 Amalgams, 2 Ghouls for the future. Life is good. Yes, we're not winning the match yet, but this was a slow start, but now we can even cast a Reunion instead of cracking Cephalic Coliseum. And we can do it twice. My opponent plays Bloodstained Mire. Okay, Static Prison is good. So 1 zombie down. My opponent will probably attack here. They cannot pay energy here. They will pay energy? Okay, maybe they have other ways to gain some energy. Okay, they will pump the cat token. In this case, I will not block. Meow. And now it's our turn. We'll dredge 4. Let's cast Cathartic Reunion here, paying 2 mana and discarding you and Burning Inquiry. This is not a Burning Inquiry moment. Cathartic will be better than that. Okay, my opponent has a response. Godless Shrine. What? It is Orcish Bowmasters or something like that? Yeah, it is. But we have dredgers, so we need to find just 1 more dredger to chain 3. My opponent will hit Narcomoeba there. That's fine. Gain some life. We'll dredge 4. Okay, we have dredgers, dredge 4 again, and dredge 5. And Creeping Chill. So now our ghouls will come back, and then our both amalgams. We can even attack here, but I think I will keep this amalgam on defense. Because now I can block any one of my opponent's creatures, and even if this Press Amalgam dies, I'll have them back on my next turn. Okay, my opponent pays the tax for their own Static Prison. They still have 3 cards in their hand, now they have the City's Blessing. So 2 new tokens every turn. They play Marsh Flats, and now they will attack. Yep, let's see if they will pump the team. Oh, they will. They will pump the First Strike Lifelinker. I will definitely take the Guide of Souls here. So I will take 9 damage. Oh, my opponent has a response. They have another Orcish Bowmasters, just to gain some life before losing their Guide of Souls, maybe? Some life and some energy. Yeah. They will kill one of my ghouls, deal some damage, and loses their Guide of Souls. Now they have a single card in their hand. How can we win from here? Because my opponent's Cat Lord will create many zombies, cat tokens each turn. We don't have other gameplay now. We just need to dredge and cast Cathartic Reunion. Okay, double Creeping Chill is a good start. I would like to have a black mana here to cast Darkblast, but I don't think this is strong enough anymore. My opponent's team is already flying with some counters on them. If I attack here, I can deal 15 damage. My opponent will probably block. It all depends if I find my last Creeping Chill or not. We don't have much choice here. I feel like we need to attack with the whole team, because next time my opponent can hold blockers, and I feel like we need to do this immediately, forcing them to block with some of their creatures. Yeah, they block, they go down to 12, and if I cast Cathartic Reunion right now, I go down to 10, so I would die if I can't find my Creeping Chill. So instead of Cathartic Reunion, I'll just crack Cephalic Coliseum, and that's it. So we will dredge 4, and dredge 3, we found Narcomoeba, and we will dredge, we found Creeping Chill. We dredge 4. Okay. And now we can discard some of our expensive dredgers. Yep. And now I will have Narcomoeba and my last Creeping Chill. And my last ghoul comes back. Now we have 8 cards in our deck. Do we still have black mana there? It's hard, but sometimes it happens. Blood Crypt? No. Blood Crypt and Water Grave are already milled. So it is what it is. This is our team for the rest of the game. My opponent needs to pay the 1. They paid. And now they attack. With the flying creatures. Alright, we will not block. What do we still have in our graveyard to be reached? We still have only Narcomoebas, I guess. Okay, my opponents don't want to cast Thoughtseize, so they will keep the energy. We have Conflagrate. Can we find a red mana here. We have one Steam Vents in our deck and some fetch lands. So I think I would just draw here. Well, unfortunately, Narcomoeba is not what we would like to see. I can cast Burning Inquiry here. We need to attack. We cannot win the game if we didn't attack here. So let's attack with everyone. And unfortunately, my opponent knows how to block. And we will not deal much damage to them. They have 8 power there. I'll just cast a Burning Inquiry here before closing my door. So let's draw 3 cards. Yeah, we couldn't find our cards there. Our opponent had a removal on top. Yeah, not the best, but this match would be dramatically improved if we had our second red mana source. So this is something to consider for the future. Now what? 3 Lightning Axe instead of 3 Tomb Scour, and that's it. Now we are on the play. Oh, this hand would be really good with a single red mana. So let's mulligan. Okay, this can be good. It's not perfect, but it can be good. Let's skip and putting Creeping Chill down. I will start playing Polluted Delta and passing. If my opponent has Kitty Cat, I can target with Darkblast. If they don't, I will just go after a tapped land. My opponent plays Marsh Flats, Godless Shrine, untapped. And they plays Guide of Souls. It will not be killed by a single Darkblast, but it can be targeted. So let's take Blood Crypt here. Now I have 2 red mana, and I'll just target it with my Darkblast. Now we'll dredge. Okay, we have another dredger there. Let's play Steam Vents, untapped, and we'll cast Cathartic Reunion, discarding you and you. We'll dredge 5 and 4, Creeping Chill and Ghoul, another Creeping Chill and 5 again. Okay, good cards. No prize amalgams yet, but good cards, and we have a Conflagrate and 2 red mana. And this Ghoul will come back. Let's pass a turn here. Let's see what my opponent can do. If they cannot deal with our graveyard, we can kill 4 Thoughtness creatures with our Conflagrate. Okay, Amped Raptor. My opponent can pump their Guide of Souls here. What they will see. Okay, Chthonian Nightmare. A good card. They will cast it. Will they attack with their Guide of Souls? They will. Will they pay energy for that? They will. So now it's a 3-4. I will not block. Let's dredge. I would like to find an Ox here. And we did. Creeping Chill is good. Okay, let's... If I attack here, my opponent will just block. So we can only attack with Narcomoeba. Okay, I will cast Ox immediately. Do I? If I cast Conflagrate instead, I can take Guide of Souls and Amped Raptor. My opponent don't have a window to pay this and sacrifice a creature because this is only as a sorcery. They need to cast a creature next turn and then try to return something. I can even deal 1 damage to Raptor and 4 damage to my opponent, and then deals another 4 damage to my opponent. They will go to 1, but they will not die. I think playing Nox is more important now to get more board presence. My opponent will gain some life there, but at the end of this turn we will have many creatures. It's more important. Our Conflagrate will not be so strong, but I'm deciding to go with Ox instead of Conflagrate. Press Amalgam triggers. We'll dredge 5. Narcomoeba is good, another Ox there. 5 again, another Creeping Chill, and 5 again. Okay, not many creatures as I was expecting, but not that bad. We have another Ghoul coming back at the end of the turn, and another Press Amalgam. My opponent is drained, and I will attack with Narcomoeba. Some triggers, and now my opponent needs to gain much life here. It's turn 3. Can they deal with our army? Okay, they will not attack, I think. Okay, and they couldn't achieve a moment to use this. This is only as a sorcery. So now I think we're good to win this game. Let's dredge 5. Okay, more dredgers and 1 more Press Amalgam. Let's just cast Conflagrate now. I think my opponent will have something here, maybe Orcish Bowmasters. If they have an Orcish Bowmasters, they will gain 2 more life, going to 7. If I kill this and they have 3 blockers, they can block here, here, and here, and take 6 damage. If I just attack and my opponent blocks, yeah, they are Orcish Bowmasters. They possible Orcish Bowmasters can deal with 1 of my creatures too. So I think I will cast Conflagrate before attacking, targeting Guide of Souls. I think this is better because we already used our 4 Creeping Chills. So yeah, let's take this creature out. And if my opponent has an Orcish Bowmasters, I will know immediately. So Conflagrate for 4. Yeah, they do have Orcish Bowmasters. No 3rd mana, but they have Orcish Bowmasters. So they will gain 2 more life and 2 energy. They need to decide what to target with their Orcish Bowmasters. It is tempting to target one of my Ghouls, but it's maybe better to target one of my Narcos. Okay, they did target Silver Smooth Gold, and now we can attack. Let's attack with everyone here. My opponent needs to block at least one of my creatures, 2 I guess. They can block my go with Raptor. Yeah, my opponent just decided it wasn't enough, and we won the game. Let's try to win our 3rd game now. Is my opponent playing with some graveyard hate like Rest in Peace? Or maybe any turn 2 graveyard hate? Do we include Grief here? I will not do a thing. Let's just submit the deck back. If my opponent finds one of their 2 graveyard hate spells, they just find it, and that's life. But being on the draw, I believe my opponent will keep any good curve of creatures, because they won game 1 without doing much, right? Okay, my opponent is going to 6. This is really slow. I don't like this hand on the draw on game 3. Let's try to do better. Okay, we have a removal spell, a good one. But we don't have any other enablers. We need to find them with our land. My opponent kept 6. I think I'll keep this. It's not good, but it feels good to have an enabler that is also a removal spell. My opponent starts with a fetch land and a Godless Shrine, untapped, Spell Bomb. Alright, so Grief would not do much here, and it is what it is. Okay, we already have Thundering Falls here, so I think I'll just play it. Let's see what is on top. Another land. We don't want that, so let's put this into our graveyard and pass. It's my opponent's turn. They play their hub, gain some energy, and that's it. Probably holding Orcish Bowmasters or removal spells or both. We have Darkblast. So what? This will tempt my opponent to crack Spellbomb. I don't think they will do it, but this is tempting. I will play Scouting Turn and pass a turn with Lightning Axe and Darkblast available to me. I can get a Watery Grave here. Yeah, it is Orcish Bowmasters. I will immediately take it with my Watery Grave. Yeah, we could wait, but why I would wait here? Let's just get rid of it immediately, because this represents a removal spell to other creatures. My opponent plays Sacred Foundry and Raptor. Raptor is a 1 toughness creature. They found another Spellbomb. Okay, so now they are expendable. I believe my opponent will crack one of them. Not yet. If my opponent will not crack one of them, I would just get rid of Raptor on my turn. Yeah, they are expecting to get some more value from it. So let's take Darkblast. Oh, we have Conflagrate. Is this enough? Just Narcomoeba and Conflagrate to crack their first one? No? Okay. So I'll cast Darkblast now, getting Raptor dead. And Blood Crit can enter tapped. And let's pass the turn. Now we have double red, double black. Okay, my opponent now will crack a Spellbomb. They have some value. They have 1 untapped black mana there. They can draw a card. Now it is their turn. Okay, Guide of Souls is a target for my Lightning Axe. It is probably important to get rid of it now. So let's take Guide of Souls here. Discarding Thug. So my opponent cannot gain life. Journey enters the battlefield. Cannot gain energy. Both are important. My opponent plays another Ether Hub. They have a single card in their hand. Okay, if they want to attack, I will take 1 damage here. I'm not ready to do this exchange. Okay, my opponent passes. I will dredge 4. Okay, nothing that great there. And I will cast my Stinkwood Imp purely as a blocker, and I will attack my opponent, dealing 1 damage. 14 and 14, but my opponent has 3 creatures. Okay, my opponent will destroy my Stinkwood Imp with Galvanic Discharge. Now they don't have any more cards in their hand. Or maybe you're hearing my dog crying here. Just a second. Ila, vem cá, Ila, vem. Pronto. She will stay here with me, just for a minute. Okay, hitching. Now my opponent is attacking me, and they need to choose if they want to take down my Stinkwood Imp now, or if I can just recast it next turn. Okay, oh, Goblin Bombardment. That's spicy. They can sacrifice creatures to deal damage. And they will do, so they can flip a Johnny. They will take down my Narcomoeba, okay. And now they'll create a Cat Warrior. They can deal damage to me. Yeah, Johnny is good. And now even if I cast a Stinkwood Imp, my opponent can just kill Stinkwood Imp with that Johnny. Let's see what we can draw here. Okay, double Narcomoeba. Let's see if this is enough to force my opponent to crack Spellbomb. Maybe it isn't. No, my opponent will let me have both Narcomoebas here. And we don't have a choice. But this game is getting harder and harder. Now it's my opponent's turn. Okay, my opponent will create 1 extra cat and deal damage to me, not to my creature. And they will just pass the turn. I can kill a Jenny, but my opponent will probably protect with Goblin Bombardment. So let's draw. Go is not good. Let's try to kill a Jenny here. But I don't think this will work. Yeah, my opponent will kill a single Narcomoeba and a Jenny is alive. Okay, a Jenny is down on 1 loyalty. And I will play Golgari Thug here. And I will pass a turn. And my opponent cracks Eridmissa for a Surveil land. Fatal Push. Okay, my opponent will create another cat. Dealing damage to me, and they can deal damage with Bombardment, and we are lost, unfortunately. So yeah, GG's. It was a good match. Let's go to our last one. Okay, final round. We are on the draw, and this is finally a hand that we can have a nice curve of spells, and we already have Dredgers to discard to Reunion. So this is a keep. Unfortunately, we are on the draw. Let's see what my opponent is playing. My opponent starts playing Polluted Delta and passing. Okay, is this a control matchup again? We have a Stinkweed Imp in our hand. Let's crack Polluted Delta for a Steam Vents. Untapped. And I'll cast Thumb Scour from my hand. Of course from my hand. I'm just used to say this because I'm playing Legacy. Sometimes you play cards from your graveyard. And Thumb Scour is always played from your hand. Okay, just try on. And this is not a Giganta, but this is a Jeskai land. Is this resolving? Okay, this is resolving, and we'll spin. Oh, this is a good Thumb Scour. Whipping Chill, go and double press Amalgam for the next turn. Go enters the battlefield, triggering double Amalgam. So we'll start turn 2 with 9 power in play, unless my opponent can do something. They play Steam Vents, tapped, and pass a turn. So press Amalgams enters the battlefield, and now it's my turn. I will dredge 3. Okay, let's attack. Okay, my opponent is immediately conceding. This was too much to take. 9 power in play on turn 2. Alright. Dredge can be really powerful sometimes. And even fast here. We didn't need our Burning Inquiry, just Thumb Scour did the job. So our game 2 against probably a control opponent. So Griff is a consideration here. And to include Griff, I will take 1 Thumb Scour, 1 Darkblast, 1 Ghoul, and I think 1 Ox on the draw. Or maybe 1 Conflagrate, but yeah, I think this is good. Okay, this is game 2. And this hand is... This seems a lot like hands that I could keep on the draw in Legacy, because I can just discard Stinkweed Imp due to hand size and then crack Cephalic Coliseum on turn 3. But I'm not sure if this is a good strategy in Modern. Double Cephalic Coliseum is so good though. But yeah, I'm not feeling it. My opponent's going to 6 though. Since this is a first try for this build, I think I will keep it for the science. So we can test how this manaless strategy would work against a control deck in Legacy. I think it is a control deck. Of course, maybe it isn't. It is a Jeskai deck, but maybe it isn't a control match. My opponent went to 5 cards, and they start with Blooded Strand and pass. We will start with another land. We can even cast Ox of Agonas on turn 5 from our hand. You know what? Instead of discarding Stinkweed Imp immediately, let's just play Polluted Delta so I can grab land from our deck. Probably the Surveil land. Our opponent took their Tryon, and now it's their turn. Basic Island and pass. Maybe holding counterspells. Let's crack Polluted Delta for a Thundering Falls. Surveying Press Amalgam to our bin. I don't want Press Amalgam in our hand. Let's draw. Burning Inquiry. This is super interesting for next turn. I will just discard Stinkweed Imp due to hand size here, because next turn we can start doing great things. My opponent still with 2 lands. We will dredge. Creeping Chill is really good here to start draining my opponent. Unfortunately, I will not cast Burning Inquiry here because I think my opponent will counter it. And if they don't, I feel like I can help my opponent doing that, because they have no lands. They had no lands last turn. So I'll just discard Stinkweed Imp again and do the same thing next turn. My opponent finds their 3rd land and passes. They play it untapped, so they can have Force of Negation or something. Luckily, we have double Cephalic Coliseum here, and we can do things without paying mana, without casting spells. So my opponent cannot counter Cephalic Coliseum. Unfortunately, not so many good cards here, but we can this time discard Dredgers and Ox. We have so many lands. Let's pass the turn. My opponent will do something at their end step. Okay, they will just draw 2 cards with Flame of Anar. So they probably have cards like Snapcaster Mage or Tamio, some wizards. They play Mystigate and pass. Come on, Dredgers. We will dredge 5. Our Dredgers revealed just another Ghoul. We will repeat. Cephalic Coliseum for the win. We'll dredge 4 and 4 again and 5 this time. And I will discard Dredger, Dredger, Dredger. We'll drain 3 more. And my opponent needs a Wrath effect here. They need to do something. They cannot hold counterspells forever. They need to start dealing with my creatures from this turn. And when they do, we will cast Ox. Okay, many creatures will enter the battlefield. My opponent said, holy moly, is there a list for this deck? Yeah. And now I pass the turn. And my opponent passes back. Just playing land. Cracking Flooded Strand for basic plains. Okay, 5 land, 5 mana. This is going to be good. Yes, Wrath of the Skies. Now they destroyed everything. So maybe we need to get back everything. Almost everything. We have a Creeping Chill in our hand, so we still have 1 Creeping Chill there. And we have a Conflagrate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's dredge here. We find a Creeping Chill. Yeah, I can deal damage to my opponent directly. They can have Force of Negation, and I think they do. But since this Nakomiba will already put my opponent into lethal damage next turn. Lethal range, I mean. So I think I will just play Blood Crypt here, untapped, and try to hit my opponent with a lethal Conflagrate with 7 damage. If they have Force of Negation, they do have Force of Negation. And we try to win next turn. Discarding 7 cards. Conflagrate dealing 7 damage. Yeah, we won! This was a huge Conflagrate. That was amazing. I never cast Conflagrate. I never did cast Conflagrate with X equals to more than 5, I guess. This was my largest Conflagrate so far. It was a 3-2 finish. Let's talk a little bit about this new deck and how it can perform from now. Folks, I had lots and lots of fun playing this deck. Burning Inquiry adds some spice to this deck that I think it is needed in this metagame. I'm not sure if this is more competitive than other builds. Of course, double Ox plus Conflagrate adds the punch that Dredge needs to finish games. And Darkblast lately has been really good because energy decks, lifelinkers with a single point of toughness can die to a single Darkblast, as we saw this league. So maybe because of that, the Life from the Loam build is just worse than a Grixis build like this. I don't see many decks playing Leyline of the Void these days, so maybe our sideboard is good enough. And our losses were really close. We can see that both of our losses against a match 3 opponent, we won our first game, and we had 2 losses that were close matchups, close games. And again, on match number 4, we almost won our game 3. So I think this has some legs. And I will definitely keep playing this and maybe improving something here and there. What we can say about the deck list after playing this leg. The mana base worked, but sometimes I thought that maybe Watery Grave could be just another Blood Crypt, because sometimes starting the match with a Watery Grave in your hand, it is awful because you have red spells to be cast on turn 1 or turn 2. And Watery Grave is only good when you already have red in your other land, but also needs black and blue for some reason because you have Cephalic Coliseum, for example, and you want to cast Darkblast on turn 1 or 2. So Watery Grave is good, but maybe we can try just a couple of Blood Crypts instead of one of each here in the future. The division on 2 Otherworldly Gaze and 3 Tomb Scours seems adequate. I'm not sure if we can go much more than this. And this is probably untouchable here, those 11 Dredgers, 11 Threats, plus Creeping Chill and Conflagrate. So the deck just feels right. It just feels right, and casting a Burning Inquiry on turns 2 or 3, pushing your own game plan and even scrubbing your opponent's hand can be a good strategy, especially because now Modern is so full of combo decks. We didn't meet that many combo decks this league, but even control decks, sometimes Burning Inquiry just takes your opponent's game plan from their hand, and while improving your own game plan if you already have Dredgers. And discarding cards at random is not so bad when you have cards like Cephalic Coliseum that can just improve the math on your favor because those are lands and also enablers. So if you discard one of your Cathartic Reunions that you don't want to discard, but maybe you draw a Cephalic Coliseum on something extra. Yeah, maybe this is actually good. This is a needed push that Dredge deserves. What do you think? Let me know here in the comments what do you think about including Burning Inquiry in a Grixis strategy like this one. And I hope to see you on our next video here on this channel. See you, click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Please, I want to see what you think. Bye, see you.